Good morning, Matthew. Good morning, everybody. I've come back to that little piece of woodland that I saw at 7 o'clock this morning. And it's now about 8:30. Just turn the little camera around. There's the sun just crept up above the horizon. Rats joined me, and I'm standing at the bottom of that river cliff I was talking about. It's a sheer drop, nearly, of 70 feet. So as I scan the camera up, and halfway up is what we've come to see this morning. One of the first ones on that list, we're looking at holly, ivy and mistletoe, those three evergreen plants that you find sort of gracing woodland and hedgerows at this time of the year. So there's Rat, to give you an idea of the scale of the hill in front of us, and I'm just going to try and climb up here. And just as I got out of the truck, the whole ivy tree, we can call it, because it's a good 25-30 feet tall, was seething, absolutely seething with redwing. And overnight they've been feeding on there. At 5 this morning I brought another camera down and left it here, and at 5:15 a.m. there were redwing feeding on this tree. So that's what happens when you get really hungry. I know the feeling. Right, here we go. Just try and climb up this very steep escarpment. It's sandy gravel. Here we go, up there. See how close we can get. And conveniently, the redwing have left some of the berries on the lower part of the tree. And here they are. You can see them shining in this low winter sunshine. I can get up a little bit closer so we can have a good look, because I think by the end of today there will be no berries left whatsoever. And I've managed to, oh goodness, that's steep. I've managed to capture some of these pesky marauders on this very spot on the tree. Here they are. Oh, hundreds and hundreds of beautiful red holly berries. Each one has 3-4 seeds in, and when the birds eat them, and these redwing that are feasting on there need to be taught a lesson, because they pick 4 off and then eat the 5th one, and the rest, if I put the camera down to the ground here, you can actually see the ground is littered with bright red berries. There's a rabbit hole here, and when I was standing here yesterday afternoon, a robin went down the rabbit hole in search of some of these lovely red berries. So the seeds are perfect because they'll go through the bird's alimentary canal. They'll eat the fleshy part of the seed and drop the little seeds inside the indigestible part onto the woodland floor. And holly is really shade tolerant, and this particular specimen is growing underneath some giant oak trees and some ash there as well, and sycamore there, still with 1 or 2 leaves left on it. High up, beautiful blue sky this morning. Now, holly's got 1 or 2 secrets, because high up on the plant, I don't know if I can reach up and get one of the leaves off. There it is in front of me. There are no spines on that leaf, and the whole top half of the holly tree is spineless. And low down right in front of me, you can see they're armed with fearsome prickles to sort of deter browsing animals like deer and old horses, perhaps from donkeys years ago, some of the wild horses out in our countryside. Obviously something grazed it, and the holly learnt that you need to protect your foliage at this time of the year particularly. So a brilliant plant. I've planted it out in hedgerows on the farm and visited a few weeks later, and quite often they were cut off like a secateur, and that would be the hares on the farm that seem to have a particular liking for young holly. Now, young holly bark is green, rather like these shoots on here on the flowering stems in front of you. You can see the actual bark is bright green, and quite unusual for a plant. Well, we can work it out. It's in a shade environment. The bark actually has chlorophyll in it, which I didn't know until very recently, and it can manufacture sun energy from the bark. But once the tree starts to get a bit older, you can see some older branches there, and the trunk, which gets rather knobbly with age, that goes grey, and that green colour completely disappears. So there we are, one of the little secrets of holly. But brilliant evergreen plant, much associated with this time of the year, obviously with the bright berries, brilliant decoration, and was probably used right back in pagan times before Christianity took over major part of our religion, and was probably used in pagan ceremonies because it kind of symbolises everlasting life. It's not like all the deciduous trees that we have in the woodland that shed their leaves and appear to be dead. Holly is one of those lovely evergreen plants that seems to defy what happens to the rest of the trees at this time of the year, and also produce these bright berries, spot on time for our winter thrushes, things like blackbirds. Fieldfares will come into the woodland occasionally as well. There at the bottom, I'm halfway up the hill. Some people would say I'm actually over the hill. There's Rat. He's about 25-30 feet beneath me. He knows where I am, so that's all right. So there we are. Our next visit is going to be a quick visit to the ivy on the farm, and the final one will be mistletoe. So there we are, beautiful sight, and you'll be able to see on High Ash Farm Facebook one of these pesky marauders from the near continent, one of our redwing. Don't worry, I love them to bits, but it's quite funny to see some of the holly berries obviously weren't to its liking, caught red-pawed, dropping the berries on the ground and then eating every fifth one. How wasteful is that?